Hi, I'm Rigger, and yeah, I just watched episode 2, so let's talk about it. Real quick, I'll jump in and say, this is not a reaction, this is me going through the episode. Basically, I just watched it. I'm going to now watch it through again, using some keyframes for reference of where I'm talking about, and discuss it as I go through. Okay, it's an interesting one. This is Insert Rigger. I probably sound slightly different. My mic's set up and what time of day it is and whatever make my voice change dramatically. I'm recording this now so I don't forget to do it when I record the thoughts video, but I'm going to quickly mention things that I want to slot in here real quick. First up, obviously these videos get the most attention because they're about the new stuff, so I just want to put this in here so that the most wide group of people see it. This video, I made this video just a few days ago and I'm very, very proud of it. I wish I hadn't called it what I called it, labeled it how I labeled it, because I feel that the title and labeling it a crack video is reducing the amount of views on it. People see it and think it's just silly and dumb. So that being said, I'm actually going to retire the idea of a crack video on my channel, or a crack theory, because a video like this I'm actually really proud of. I'm really proud of the responses I got to it. I'm really happy with the people that watched it. I'm really happy with the comments on it. I'm really happy with the positive responses, and I'm really proud of the video. So if you haven't seen it, please go watch this. I know what the title says, I know how it sounds, I know what you think when you see crack video. I labeled it like that because I meant to separate the theories that I think are really legit and the theories that might happen, and I thought this was a fun way to do it, but I think it's hurting the video, so please go watch it. I'm very, very proud of it, and I think that it has some real things to say, and I'm confident that if you're up to date with RWBY, especially now that episode 1 is public to everyone, you'll like this video, or at least you'll appreciate it. So please go check that out. I will be linking it in the iCard in your top right. I'll be putting it in the description down below, and I'll be putting it as one of the end cards you'll see at the very end of this video. So I just wanted to get that out there. Thank you very much. And lastly, but not leastly, because I will forget to do this live, I will forget to do this when I'm recording the thing in order, just the YouTube things. If you like this, please hit the like button. The feedback is greatly appreciated. If you have anything to say, please leave them in the comment section, because I do love to read them. I read all of my comments, I promise you. You'll see that any comments with questions, any comments with critiques or whatever, I usually give very long responses because I like to think through all my things, and I really do respect other people's opinions and like to interact. And if you have a big criticism, I like to give my reasons why or why not, or if you're right, I'll just say you're right. All of those things. If you know anyone who would of course like my content, please share it around. You have no idea how much that helps. Post it in a Discord of people that like the same things as you, on anything, Reddit, whatever. If you really think that the people you know would appreciate this content, sharing it with them does me a huge service, and I would be very appreciative. Thank you so much for anyone who has done that. The fact that you think other people would like it is a huge compliment. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more. I will be, at least the plan is for now, I'll be doing these to all of the episodes. I will be giving more thought out reviews. I have more theories, both crazy and more legitimate, coming. I'm sure as the series comes, I'll have more of those as well. And I just want to say thank you so much to everyone again. Sorry this has gone on for so long. We'll get to the video right now. Let's go. To start, I do like that, Robin's speech to the others is narrating in Crow's head. You blame yourself, it's your fault. Like, I get, good direction choice to open, I guess, giving us his inner thoughts. He thinks it's his fault, but, she's talking to someone else. I both hate, and I hate how much it makes sense, but also I hate it how animated Jacques is, but it does feel like a rich person who is setting up their defense. I was used and stuff. His animation though is really comedy, and I don't know, it just feels weird. So again, calling Crow a murderer. Yeah, I guess. I don't know how Jacques knows any of that. Also, I know that it's for the purposes of the scene, and if it was in a jail, they'd be talking through bars. But it feels weird they have these big energy shields to hold everyone in, and they're not soundproof, and everyone can just talk to each other. I'm not saying it's wrong or anything, it just feels weird, because it feels like there's walls, but there isn't, and I guess that could, feel high-techy or whatever, but it feels backward as well. I don't know, I wouldn't want top priority prisoners collaborating and talking to each other, or hearing what the others say if you interrogate them in the cells, but I don't know. I do find it kind of weird that Robin just is so sure that he didn't kill Oprah. I understand that she has no evidence that he really did. She didn't see what happened and wouldn't think that he did, but still, I don't know, it's just so definite. But I can get over that. This setup looks so strange still. And Chris Sabat is awesome. Not a shot at the other voice actors, it's just he's so natural. So, yeah, good performance work. Two things. One, I do find it very funny that Chuck assumes that Whitley has called lawyers. I know he doesn't know the situation, like all the takeover and everything, but still, the idea that he's relying on Whitley to call lawyers. And of course knows that his wife didn't. That's also pretty funny. I know that they're armed and like guards go into prisons all the time, but if these are your top prisoners, this is the worst security system ever. The whole wall opens up, like there's no control of flow, it's just like the whole wall's down. I don't know. It seems like a terrible idea. You know, I get Crow is bad, he's emotionally unstable, he's gone through a lot, but, and I guess, you know, the last thing he saw was Team RWBY and Friends is wanted and all that, but he's not getting the news and everything. Is he really, like, he immediately wants to murder Ironwood? I know he said James will take the fall and I'll make him, but, like, not even discussion, doesn't even want to beat him up and talk to him, he just wants to kill him right now, and, that's pretty extreme, man. Everyone's going extreme. I'm not saying I don't buy it, it's just, man, that really, 0 to 100 real freaking quick. Also, he says there's something we can kill the man who put us here. How? Crow, like, that's the thing you want to do. I don't know how you're gonna do it. Unless, no, I got nothing. Unless you're betting on being rescued. It might just be a cynical part of me, but a part of me really feels that this news broadcast was, just them generally flexing that every other news broadcast on this show has been terrible in terms of, like, art and things. And, you know, I get wasn't prioritized, you know? So, they're like, no, we're going to do a moving camera, we're going to do multiple people talking and moving, we're going to do background, we're going to do handing off of mics, it's going to be a full scene, it's going to be the best news report RWBY's ever done. You know, I guess props to them, I mean, they did it, but it just felt weird that it was a news report. Although I do like the tactic of, like, yep, just hijack the news, like, who's going to stop you? And you're trying to help people, so that's fine, you know. Like I said in the first episode thoughts, I really like the Huntresses being proactive, I really like their approach of no nonsense, let's get it done, good stuff. Alright, so we jump forward a fair bit. Not that I don't have anything to say, it's just, it's all stuff we've seen before, it's mostly the trailer stuff, and, you know. But, two things. One, I'm not mad about Yang taking a moment to be happy. It'd be amazing. You know, you'd be amazed in real situations how much some levity can help, one thing to enjoy. But I will say, John's grenade is dumb. I kept trying to think, you know, like, okay, the way that stopped this Grim is dumb. And I was like, oh, this could be good for, like, a siege sort of thing. But, not really. I mean, you can shoot around the sides, but the top's so high, you couldn't shoot over it. It'd be really great to block a doorway. I don't like it. I think it's kind of silly. And also, I'm disappointed that as such, that's the only upgrade. Like, it's just one thing for Jean. So the one thing that they wanted to give him that didn't make him complete was this, but nothing for Ren or the others. We didn't see him pick up any other gear. It just feels this is the one thing they had to add. Just an odd choice. Okay, but now I have things to say. I made my whole video on Ren and Nora. I put my thoughts in there about what I thought Ren was going through, about, you know, everything. And I get he's annoyed, and for him, not much time has passed, but he seems irritated at the idea of having to do anything. And yes, they asked, can you do a very hard thing for a long time? I get that. But his annoyance, his constant annoyance at everything, and also Nora has a similar reaction later. I get that their head isn't sort of in the game, you know, they got their stuff they're worrying about, but this feels a bit whiny. Like, this feels a bit, you're complaining about doing a hard job to save a lot of people, and that still should be what you're focused on. So I want to see where this story goes. I still have hope in it. I still have hope for the things that I said as well, but this feels, I don't know, they're so prickly, they're so close to the edge all the time. And also, personal issue, I don't like them calling their semblances by name. I don't like that she said if Jean hits you with his aura amp, like, do you have to have your names for them in universe and call them that? Like, you know, go use your blink, you like, just say use your semblance, like, we all get it. I don't know. I think they maybe just want to clarify again what it is for people that aren't as into the show. Okay, but there are three things I do like. People might criticize Jean for acting happy there, but no, he was trying to lift everyone's spirits because that will help. Yeah, be positive and get some of the negative emotions out of the air in general, semblance or not, like Ren semblance or not, it'll help. So I actually applaud that, trying to keep everyone positive. You know, good job, Jean. And then I actually really like that we see some just casual faunus racism. It's something that, or speciesism, you know what I mean. But it's something that's missing in the show. It's always been one of those things that, because it's a touchy subject and because they don't like questions about it a lot, they've sort of just said it happens a lot and don't really show it much. Like, you know, they show it at key points, or not key points, they show it at little points here and there very sparingly. So it's good to see, you know, it feels like real awful people. Also, I can't tell how I feel about Yang Yang's response. Like, I like that she's putting them in their place and sticking up for people. Something about it feels off though, and I can't place it. So that's not much of a critique, it's just, I don't know. Also, okay, so I don't know if we're supposed to just take it as advancement of their powers, like Jean's gotten a lot better with his aura, and presumably Ren has as well, but that's a lot of people, and damn, that's impressive. I know they did the whole train, but I was always under the impression they didn't do it for very long. Like, they held it for a short amount of time till they were out of distance and the Grimm were distracted in Volume 6. And I know they'd been through a fight, but he couldn't hold it on the ship very long. The fact that they apparently marched this group of people through a whole city to the outskirts to a crater that's not in the city, that's really impressive and or power creepy, like power creeping up. I don't know. It seems like they almost shouldn't have been able to do that. I know it flickers, but it's still damn impressive. So I don't know whether to be impressed or be annoyed that they can do that. Okay, best bit of the episode. You can probably tell I'm not super wrapped in this episode. I don't hate it, but I'm not super wrapped in it. But Oscar talking to Ozpin was excellent. They're actually addressing this again because people have been back and forth about, well, he says he lives with the souls, but they do combine into one, so Oz is gonna take over. Like, they've sort of been wishy-washy on it, or at least I've seen a lot of fans and stuff talk about that they're not clear on it. So I will always be a fan of them bringing it up, putting it out there plain as day, and Oscar talking about how he doesn't want it and how unfair that is and how crap it is. And thank you. It's sad and it sucks, and I don't know where the end of this story thread goes, but at least they're talking about it. I think that's pretty good. So that's the best bit of this episode, is that conversation, for sure. So despite me just recently saying I wasn't really that happy with the way Ren was portraying his feelings, I actually, this one where, you know, Jean gives a disappointed or shocked look and looks away and is worried, this one I understand more. Sometimes you don't need the pep talk. Sometimes you just need to concentrate on the thing you're doing, which is apparently very difficult. So just the don't talk to me, let me focus. I actually get it more here than I did with his reaction earlier. So yeah. Alright, so, you know, I kind of like the vision of the crater and how all the crowds were, makes sense. Two things. One, May sounds like she's leveled wrong. I don't know, she just sounds like she's a commentary track on the episode. I don't know if anyone else got that. She just sounds too loud. Doesn't sound like it's coming out of her mouth. But this whole, like, oh, you know, Fiona's got your friends helping in my stead, you know, the other half of the team is doing stuff while you're here, and she looks away, like, what are you, I know that it's not the job you felt like was the right one to do, but you're really gonna turn away and be annoyed at your friends are helping do the job we're doing anyway, and clearly this place is taking part in? I don't know. I'm not digging it. Not digging the way they're portraying it. It feels weird. I don't know. Not happy with it. This feels like I'm contradicting myself every few seconds, because I'm like, I didn't like Ren's response earlier, but then I understood his one later. I'm gonna say I liked, I didn't mind Yang having fun, but this feels weird. They're so jokey. Like, I felt people were complaining that Yang doing the motorcycle flip felt like, oh, nothing mattered and no one's taking it seriously. That felt actually more like an understandable, real response in the moment than everyone here smiling and at the joke that the Shnees own a lot. I don't know. Also, the drones that just work for the Shnees, like, I know it's a minor background point, but feels weird. Although if they do turn on people later, when, like, if they hack all the military again, that'll be interesting. But they shouldn't be able to, right? Because they report to the I don't know. Feels unnecessary. I do like the idea of the tubes taking the dust up to Atlas. That actually makes a lot of sense. One of the reasons that Atlas is over top and there's, like, you know, a direct line, that works. So it answers a bit of a question, although it feels inefficient with how small the tubing is and how little I don't know. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of struggling to have a lot of talk about this episode. It's a bit, I don't know, it feels oddly slow. The whole episode didn't take too long, but I don't know. Like, I see the runtime of like 17 minutes, and I'm like, it didn't feel like 17 minutes, and that's a good thing, but I also feel like we didn't do much. So, and this is probably one of the other better scenes, at least, like, the real emotional scenes of people talking about real consequence and how they feel do work still. I do have a few criticisms, though, and I'm not trying to be negative. I know it's a choice because she's robotic and she's always been quirky, but her talking about really serious things and her feelings and not using any conjunctions, like not shortening or putting any words together, still talking in full laid out English. It's the awkwardness of the sentence takes away a bit from the emotion. I'm not saying you should change a speech pattern or anything, because it's how she's always been. It just doesn't fit as well for this type of scene, unfortunately. Also, I actually really like how mature Ruby is in this conversation. Again, props to the voice acting, because I've heard people talk about Ruby's voice getting annoying, and it never annoyed me or anything, but I've heard people talk about how it seems to get more cartoony as it went on, and it's not something that stuck out to me, but definitely here she feels more mature. She isn't speaking as high, her tone's a little lower and more serious, and I really appreciate it. It felt very real. You know, I really believe that was a real person. So whether or not it's come up before, it hasn't annoyed me before, but I definitely just noticed in this scene that she sounded really great. I do also like that Penny, her thoughts were not just on, you know, because Ruby's mind immediately went to her and Yang, which makes sense because, you know, they're so close and everything. But she's no like Ironwood and the Aesops, and they were her friends, you know, as well. So like it's broader than that. But so I think that's pretty interesting. And I do like that she hates that she has the powers. And I do like the idea that Ruby brought up that you still saved people by taking those powers, especially when, you know, who else could have potentially got them, even though she doesn't mention that, you know, it's implied. So it's a good way to look at it. At least they're looking at it in both like two understandable ways that both feel quite real and quite legitimate. So yeah, props there. Although, can I point this out because it's weird? Every time, especially really only with Penny, like other people have done it, but it happens all the time with Penny. When people are having serious talks with Penny, they grab her hands. Like Ruby did it in alleyway with the I'm not a real girl thing. Winter did it when they were talking about in the hallway about going to get the Winter Maiden and Ironwood's decisions, and now Ruby does it again here, and I might even be missing some. Why does everyone take Penny's hands to talk to her? I don't get it. I don't know why. Just with Penny, it's we're having a conversation, a meaningful one, and take your hands. But again, now I get that whiplash of like, okay, I liked Penny's emotional moment. I liked Ruby's response. I liked how real they were being. Cut over to Nora, who was, you know, having that reaction outside, is now doing a cheery pose. And then May, you know, cheerily does her semblance thing. People giggle, people joke, everyone's smiling again, and it doesn't feel right for this situation here. This is where I'm having a problem with it. And also, like I said, it's the whiplash back and forth of the emotional scene, and they just walk into everyone being silly again, including people who were annoyed just, like, you know, not even that long ago, 20 seconds ago. And yeah, that scene builds up to another joke. This frame is great, and I did slow down the episode so I could find a good frame. But this joke should work, but it really doesn't. You know, again, Nora's back to her old self, giddy reaction, hit the button without thinking, and then Weiss gets sucked through the tube without, you know, any preparation. I know she's got aura and she'll be fine, but that should kill you. And like, I'm just saying, that should murder most people, especially if it's going all the way to Atlas and gonna spit you out with all those boxes and stuff. Like, yikes. But, you know, I always complain when people forget that there's supposed to be comedy in this show. It's not just serious. Like, the comedy's always been there. And there's a time and a place for it, and sometimes it really works, but this joke that should work just, like, I mean, it still kind of works, but it really doesn't hit where it should, because we've just had emotional moments. We've just had these characters being frustrated and annoyed, and rather than Yang's moment of a happy sort of, you know, look back at things she used to enjoy for a brief moment, this feels like a out of place gag when we should be talking about what the actual plan is. I don't know, man. It's just not working for me this bit at all. And again, it's immediately followed up by a secondary joke, which is Nora back to her old ways and giggling at it, while everyone sort of looks a bit, a bit dumbfounded at it. Like, it just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't work. It's just not clicking. Maybe everyone else loves it, and I'm off center here. I don't know, but it's not clicking for me. Okay, I do think it's good and interesting that I skipped over it, but if you watch the episode, you know it's there. All the Fiona stuff, the Huntresses have more lines in, like, these two episodes than they did all last season. But, okay, again, this reaction, like, it seems like, okay, so they split off to do their separate missions, and some of them are mad at each other because they disagree where they should be. But now they're turning it into a thing where they're annoyed because they, people worried they wouldn't be able to do the job without all their teammates, and now they're taking offense to the idea. I don't know, man, that seems pretty reasonable. Like, hey, you're not with your team, and I get that there's emotions and stuff there, but I don't know, this still feeling off as their reaction, like this is their issue. It seems like the emphasis is in the wrong place on these. Now they're trying to prove themselves that they don't need the others because they disagree with what they're doing. That's weak. I don't know, man. Although I do like how they're just casually having Fiona flex a semblance everywhere. That's pretty funny. I'm just gonna add on to what I just said. Like, Yang's, like, mean eyes, like, yeah, we're just fine. Like, jeez, man. I don't know. I wanted the sisterly split. I wanted the argument. I wanted the debate over if what they're doing is right, and I wanted them separated. But instead of being separated, they're all coming back to the same place and just avoiding each other, and then getting offended that, like, oh, we don't need them. Like, that's not the issue. But I will say, this is, like, I don't always think in like a Riff Traxy style or anything, but when she just flexed her semblance and they come up and say, wait, where are you putting everyone? The back of my head instantly feels, oh, in my hand. I know that joke's been made a lot, but there was a pause in it that just fits so well. So, I don't know. At least I made myself laugh a little bit with that. So at least that joke kind of landed, even though it wasn't intentional. And I will say, unlike with Nora, who we know is going through stuff and we know reasonably well, and unlike the others who the same thing, because we don't really know Fiona and she's only been presented as sort of peppy and bouncy, I don't mind her acting that way. She can be the light one with the levity. Again, I know they're all in a serious situation, but at least she's an outside character, so it's okay for her to feel a bit off and bring some sort of, animation and joy to the screen a little bit as she bounces around and acts excited. So, I'm fine with it there. It's just where they're using it is annoying me with the other characters. So, last night, just because I happened to be up and I saw it went up, I watched the live commentary of episode 1 with some of the RT people, the people who worked on the show. And they were hyping up, oh, this guy does have a voice, and that makes it even weirder what I said before for episode 1, that it felt off that he didn't talk. And now that they hyped who it would be, and I'm like, oh, did they get like a celebrity in or something big? And no, it's just Gus. Like, okay, fine. That's whatever. Although I do like that we have the an example of the Faunus relation where, they don't share the trait, so at least they're being consistent with, well, not consistent, at least they're showing that, unlike with Blake and that, how they, the cat thing continued. So at least here we got like the, I'm assuming, mole with the glasses and the hands, and the sheep. So yeah, little note. And I did like the little, I guess, social commentary that the woman who was totally against Faunus with the daughter and the little girl walked in, and a Faunus kid ran up to their kid immediately and was being happy with them and socializing well. And Faunus immediately came up to the older lady and gave her food and stuff. So, I like those little background elements. Good job there. So I get the feeling that I'm about to talk a lot about what comes after this, so I'll just cover up till here. The way they took down the flying Grim, I guess, was kind of inventive. But it is an issue. Well, not an issue, because if it was clicking better, I don't think it would be much of an issue. But this is episode 2, and the action is still pretty lacking. The inventive way of taking down that Grim, sort of whatever. It's kind of interesting using the environment, but so far you're doing not much. And I'm not one of those people who just says, give me the action, but if you're not giving it to me, I want the character stuff and all those moments to be a lot stronger than it is this episode. I do like the indication of these Grim not acting right. I think that's pretty cool. Seeing that behavior, at least for us, is drastic, because they have never acted away. So on screen, that actually works, not just their surprise. But now we get on to the next bit. Okay. Yeah, so this annoys me. I said that I didn't want this to be another Volume 5 with the no action in the first episode and 14 episodes, and that a huge issue in that for every fight and every encounter was people standing around. I'm sorry, they spent, I think I counted up 35 seconds sitting around while Oscar got mauled. It paused, it transformed, it picked him up again, and only then does Yang react. And Yang and Jean are both fine. Ren got knocked down? Fair. But this thing hit him, mauled him, threw him to the ground, hit him at least twice more, broke his aura, stood there, transformed, turned around, picked him up, and then Yang jumps in. Bad, 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 bad. I'm sorry. If they'd charged in and tried and it just like knocked them aside, and you can't even say it's using Oscar as a shield at this point, it was just beating him on the ground and then stood there transforming. For half a minute, over half a minute, you all just sat there doing nothing on your bikes. Come on, guys, this is not great. This is bad. This is bad staging, and it will continue in this scene. But I think from now on, I'm just going to go through my thoughts as they came to me sort of through this scene. So I might be a few more pictures and a few more stops. At this point, when he held out Oscar, and then Yang had to dodge and then got caught offhand, I thought, oh wow, so this is like Top Grimm. This is, that survival instinct thing where they've really smartened up. That's interesting, that's kind of like putting a Grimm that does so much a cannon fodder now, and you've really got one that'll challenge you. I was trying to put aside how long they stood around, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So, okay, so far so good. Okay, now, I'm like, okay, Yang's tired, but I've seen her smash through concrete pillars and stand right back up and fight. So, yeah, she's tired from fighting some Grimm, but she was tired, and many years back when she was fighting Neo and she held up better than this. She just gets decimated, hits one wall and goes down, and she's just laying here like this for a bit. Come on. And she should have been using that to fight back. That's her thing, right? I don't know, man. This feels so wrong, all of this. I just wanted to check the times to see if I was being unreasonable. 12 seconds. 12 seconds of full action is Yang laying face down, doing nothing before she pops her head up and says, wait. Also, can Ren stop doing, Ren's done the, fire my grappling hooks and lead in with my feet thing, and I think he's at a 50-50. It worked against one Grimm, and no, he got clobbered when he did it to the Aesop, and he got clobbered when he did it to Neo, and he just got owned again. So not even 50-50, so he should stop doing that move. Okay, before I get into what is coming, I'll just quickly talk about this. This had me fighting with myself, because I'm always a proponent of put yourself in the situation. So, for instance, in Volume 7, when the crowd attacks Penny, I remember so many reactors and stuff would go, yeah, but she'd have visual footage stuff, and, clear her name. But that doesn't work on the mob that is reacting right now, this second. They haven't thought of all the ins and outs, they're reacting in the moment. So you give them the benefit of the doubt there, because that's how people act. And here, it's using Oscar as a shield, okay. And I'm like, well, we know that it wants him. They might not assume that it's trying to steal him at this point, it's just clobbered him and using him as a shield. The other bit of my brain goes, yeah, but it's pointing him at you, it's not, I guess you could say if we attack it, it'll kill him, but it's using him as a shield, and there's 3 of you, so there's 3 directions you could attack from. I don't know. And I really don't want to be that guy, but I'm gonna bring up a continuity all the way back from Volume 4. I know Ren's tired, but despite the weird things this Grimm does that are about to get weirder, I'm wondering why he hasn't tried to mask himself and see if it can still see him. Because that would be my next play of how do I sneak up on this thing. Are we forgetting about that scene? I don't know. It feels like it would be in my arsenal of tricks at this point of, hey, we have a crazy situation, but it's a Grimm, so I'll see if I can hide myself. Because the Knucklevi could not see them right in front of him. So, yeah. Okay, let's talk about it. A lot of people, my mind raced here, and I went, what's happening? Well, I went, okay, this thing's evolving on the fly. Okay, I'll stop calling it this thing, it's called the Hound. If you look in the end credits, they're calling it the Hound, which is fair enough. It's like a bloodhound, right? It's trying to get him. So it evolves on the fly to what it needs. It is dog-like, it tackles them, it needs to pick him up, so it evolves arms to pick him up. And then, through the fight, it evolves to what it needs. And then he talks to it, so its throat changes and it evolves a voice. Oh, I don't know how I feel about a Grimm that can talk, man. I don't know about, I get the rational thinking and using a shield. I'm like, okay, super highly advanced Grimm is aware of how people act. This one has a consciousness and it talks back when it doesn't even have to. It's supposed to be on a mission to take things. The other bit of my head was oh, what if it's a creepy Grimm that its base is a person? This is Grimm gross stuff, Grimm goop based around a person to use human intelligence, but they're a zombie or something, and that's how it's doing all this. But That feels like overthinking it. I think they've just really gone over the top with this Grimm. And this Grimm, when I saw it in the trailers and when I saw it in the episode, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a mini-boss. And it still kind of is, I suppose. And despite it being a mini-boss, that's what I wrote it off as, and that's fair enough. And then I saw that live stream of the first episode watch, and they were dancing around this thing. They were like, no, we can't talk about it. Let's not mention it. Oh, my favorite thing about this Grimm, let's not talk about it. So they were hiding this thing, and you can see why. It's clearly important. I hate this idea. I hate this choice, personally. I can't put it all into words right now as I'm just watching the thing and giving you my thoughts, but I don't like this idea. I don't know, man. Just, nope. That's a nope from me. It feels like they went for, let's do something cool, and it's not cool. It's weird, and it seems unnecessary, and yeah. If you try and kill this thing, will it cry for help? Because then you got to think about this thing's consciousness while you're doing it. So, you know, just wondering. 26 seconds. I'm using this frame, it's not the end of this sequence, but they stand there and watch this thing, like, contort with its head down in some sort of pain, and, you know, obviously not focusing on Oscar, just standing over him. Two of them have ranged weapons, all of them can run at it. Yang can shoot the ground and fire at it, like, fire herself at it. 26 seconds, they stand there and gawk at it. Yeah, it just talked and that's weird, but it's also got your friend who has his aura broken, and it's not holding him, it's just standing over him on the ground, and you're watching it like in pain and in trouble, and you're just gawking at it for almost half a minute. 26 seconds from when it put him down to when it picks him up with his mouth. Or at least that's my rough estimate, jumping time codes. Might be a second or two off, but you get the idea. This is Volume 5. This is everyone standing around doing nothing for plot. Or, like, if you want to show off the transformation in close-up, don't cut to this shot. Don't cut to them watching it. Like, what are you doing? This is a terrible directorial choice. If you want to make it like that anime thing of something transforming and it takes longer than it should, at least keep the camera close on it and get all the details, then watch these guys literally stare at it while they could be trying to do something. This is terrible. This, like, I was being nice about them standing around before the first time, because I went, if they don't, it's not like, you know, they make the mistake, that's okay. Like, you make your mistake once and you don't do it again, you know, it's just a slip up. That happens. You've done it twice in a row. Same encounter. I just can't. Bad. I'm not sure if they're trying to imply something with this shot, or if it's just meant to, like, be representation of, like, a tear on his face and look at how vulnerable he is and his aura's down and he's knocked out, but this just reminds me they could be helping. They fought the Nooklevians, well, they're not them, but Ren did, and it's like, you've seen stuff transform, and it was like, you know, it's not a completely new idea. I don't know. It's clearly distracted and clearly not paying attention. I won't keep ranting on it, but I just hate it. It's just... Here's my only other real positive, that these wings that were on Salem in the opening are on this thing, which means they won't be on Salem. It was just a representation of this thing hunting him down. Thank God, because I just didn't want to see Batwing Flappy Salem, so at least they're here. And they look alright, so yeah, okay. Kids, what's your status? We looked at a Grimm while it took our friend, and then we continued to look at it as it ran away, and then as soon as it left the screen, we ran after it uselessly and stopped. That's our status. And this is more of the movie line stuff. What's your status? You wouldn't believe me if I told you. That's not helpful. Say, the craziest Grimm we've ever seen just took Oscar, and it's flying away. Like, there you go, that's your status. A member of our team has been kidnapped by a Grimm the likes of which we've never seen before. That would help them. I don't like the dramatic, you know, you wouldn't believe me if I told you, and then they cut off communications. That doesn't help them back at the base. That doesn't help anybody. That doesn't help if they can send someone to help you. That doesn't tell anyone what's going on. Like, I just hate that. Like, there was no need to do the dramatic line. It would be more dramatic if you just went, the craziest Grimm we've ever seen just snatched Oscar. What? It transformed. I can't even go into it. It transformed it. We have to get him back. And then, like, you know, if you couldn't get out all the details because you were flabbergasted, but you at least got the information out there and they knew what you were doing. Come on. And it makes it worse to me that they ended on that. That was their dramatic end line. God, no. Bad. And also, say the direction it's heading. Oh, it grabbed him and it's heading this way. Is there anyone that way? Like, is there anyone who can help? I don't. As you can tell, I was not a fan of this episode. I think this is going to be one of those episodes in the future that, like, if we make it to volume 11 or whatever, and someone's doing a rewatch, this will be one of those episodes that you kind of want to skip. It's in that range. We didn't get much development or anything. Okay, so let's go through what we got. What did we get? We got them talking in the prison, where no development on anything, except that Watts got dragged away. Don't see where that goes. We get who's on whose side in the prison, but with pretty much the lines we thought that would be, that Robin is on Crow's side and no one cares about Jock, so there's that. We got through the pre-volume material, which I'm happy about. Again, everything pre-volume and trailer I wanted out of the way as quick as possible, so everything we see is new, so I'm not complaining about that stuff being in here, but that also adds to it feeling very skippable, because the beginning third had a lot of things you've seen before. We got John's dumb upgrade, we got the bikes, we got the crater, we got what the crater looks like and the people there, we got a little bit of lived-in world stuff with the racist woman and all that. We got Ren's weird responses that don't seem right, even more than last season. Even with the benefit of the doubt, they feel a bit off. Then you've got Nora's responses, which are worse. You've got the tonal inconsistencies through everything in Team RWBY's side. The only good things are the talk with Ruby and Penny. We got the talk with Oz. The talk with Oz was really good. I really like the sadness of it. That was the biggest highlight of this thing. And like I said, some weird, annoying things because of Penny's speech pattern aside, that other conversation was good. They're the good things. And then we got how they're getting to Atlas, which is through a tube with a joke that shouldn't be there but didn't land, and a whole bunch of weird tonal inconsistencies that didn't land. We got a little of the look of the way the slums work, and then we got the teams being mad at each other because they'd been mad at each other for the wrong reasons, so it feels weird. And then we got that encounter at the end, which I think is pretty terrible. Like, I don't mind the concepts in it. A Grim that evolves on the fly, pretty scary. The thing hunting Oscar actually getting him early, pretty scary. Good stuff. The fact it talks, dumb. The fact that they stand around looking at it twice for almost half a minute both times, dumb. The fact that they don't inform anyone of what's happening at the end, dumb. And then we end on a not cliffhanger of them chasing it. I'm not satisfied with this one. That's my thoughts. I hope they do better next week. This one was a letdown. Just gotta call it as you see it. And I may not have particularly liked this episode, but if you like this video, there's a button for that. If you know anyone who would like my content, this or otherwise, especially the stuff I mentioned at the start, please share it around with any place with anyone you think would enjoy it. If you have anything to say, if you really like the episode and you think I'm being unfair, if you agree and you want to talk about it or anything else, please leave them in the comments below, because I will read them. I always read them. So yeah, subscribe for more, of course. You can tell that this is not one of my highly, edited videos. This is not scripted. But yeah, that was my thoughts on the second episode. I thought the first was pretty solid and a good start, and then I feel they tripped over their shoelaces immediately. So I'm hoping for a recovery. We'll see how they do. But with all that being said, my name is Rigger. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope I did alright.